folks, this is GreenXI. Welcome you right back to Let's Play Umineko. This is episode 69. In the last episode, we got the running order of the children the grandchildren that Kinzo wanted to test to have the money, the ownership of the family name, and all that sort of stuff. And we found out that Jessica is going to be the first person taking the test. So let's see how that turns out, because we know Jessica can be really sort of really sort of boisterous and loud and violent, I guess. So let's see how that turns out. But she has her weaknesses. We saw that in other arcs where she's got like asthma and stuff like that. So you never know. We don't even know what type of test is going to be. I think this is her walk, making her way there, is it? Okay. Of course, since the time of her birth, Jessica had been raised in this mansion. Yet a trophied, Western-style house that the cousins called a mansion was her home, and yet she had never understood her cousin's feelings as much as she did today. At the same time, she had never felt her own home, which she knew well to be as alien as it seemed now. Her own room. This had once been her hideaway, the only place in this vast mansion where she could feel at peace. However, she had never felt as much pressure coming from that door as she did now. A test, you say? What the hell could be waiting in there? I'm not going to find my desk and stuff dragged around all over the place, right? She acted tough, trying to deceive herself. Trying to make herself believe that she wasn't scared of anything. Readying herself, she opened the door to her room. Oh god, it sounded like a shotgun. When she saw that, fortunately, the room didn't appear to be messed up, she relaxed. No one was there. Of course, there was no way for anyone to hide here. Right away, Jessica locked the door behind her. This way, the room was safe. She peeked under the bed and in the closet, but of course no one was hiding. What the hell? She looked at the clock. It was just past 23:10. As her tension lessened and fatigue came back to her entire body, she realised how messed up this whole day had been. It was still about 11 o'clock. The plan had been for all the cousins to gather, have fun playing around, and talk animatedly about various things together into the night. Normally, we would have been doing that kind of thing right now. Why has that turned into this? It's all the damn geezer's fault. How could he do that to Mom? To everyone? She shook her head back and forth with anger and sadness, but there was no one here to direct those emotions at. Because of the lock, this room's security was guaranteed. Remembering that one more time, Jessica somehow regained her calm. If it keeps up like this and nothing happens, I want to go to the dining hall and see Mum's dead face. Even though Goda emphasized so strongly that it was gruesome and that I definitely shouldn't go to look at it. Even so, I wanted to see her face at the end. But we were warned repeatedly that stepping out of line even a little would put the hostages in danger. Could it be that locking the door is also against the rules? If I close myself up in here, I alone might be saved. But if I don't open it, it'll surely be against the rules, and Dad, Canon-kun, Shannon, Aunt Kyrie, and Dr. Nanjo will be killed. There's no way the scales will balance out between 5 lives and my own 1 life. Jessica tightly shut her eyes, resisting the other part of herself that said, "Isn't it okay as long as I stay alive?" Faced the door and made to unlock it. At that time, clap, 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 a crisp applause rang out, making Jessica's heart leap. If the door had remained locked, it might have been in violation of the rules, and harm could have come to the hostages. But despite that, your own life might be saved. However, you resisted that temptation and were about to unlock the door yourself. That bravery of yours is worthy of admiration. Who? If I, the owner of the room, searched everywhere a human could have been hiding, where did this man come from? There was nowhere for a human to hide. But could something non-human have managed it? This was supposedly my first meeting with this largely built, middle-aged man. I didn't recognise this guy, who looked like a butler and bore the crest of the one-winged eagle. A pleasure to meet you, Jessica-sama. I serve as head furniture for the master, the 27th of the 72. I am called Ronove. Uri? Genji-san? Ah yes, Genji is like my little brother. Or perhaps he was my true form while in this world. Oh aye. You might even say he was my vessel. What's this guy saying? Oh, my apologies. This is not something a human would be able to understand. Well then, let's move on to the main event. So this is that test or whatever the damn geezer talked about? Correct. This is the test that the Master has granted you, Jessica-sama. At Ronve's elegant gesture, like that of a butler ordering for a meal to be set out, many gold butterflies flew up out of nowhere. What the hell? As the cloud of gold butterflies spun around in a small swirl, they gathered in one place. Then that golden mound disappeared like a pile of leaves blown away by a cold, wintry wind. And there lay a western envelope with a one-winged eagle crest done on it in gold leaf. With a gesture, Ronve urged her to pick it up. Jessica timidly did so, and opened the letter inside. What's this? It's an exceedingly simple test to determine whether one is qualified to become the successor. Please attend to the question written there with a fitting attitude for the successor who is to support the Ashuramaia family, and tell me your answer, as well as the thoughts that led you to it. Dumbass. Shaken, Jessica looked between the paper and Ronve's face several times. At that time, George, who had been called out after Jessica, could be seen in the arbour of the rose garden. If things had gone normally, he had planned to give Shannon the ring that would be proof of their engagement, here, at this time, on this day. But the woman in front of George now was not Shannon. Read it. That's Goldsmith's test for you. I was going to do them all at once. Oh, this is interesting. George picked up the western envelope, which was on the table where he'd once had tea with Shannon, and read its contents. Perhaps its message was short. After glancing at it, George's eyes grew sharp. What's this supposed to be? Hey, it's as you see. This is the test given to you to see if you're qualified to be the successor. As you ask yourself whether you truly are so qualified, answer that question. What a stupid question. That's right. It really is a stupid question. Doesn't that mean the Ashuramaia family inheritance is also something on that level in Goldsmith's eyes? George lowered his eyes to the surface of the letter once again, examining its contents. George and Jessica. While the tests given to them were slightly different, they were almost exactly the same. Among the 3 mentioned below, in order to gain 2, sacrifice 1. It's a simple 3 choices. Decide for yourself which one you will choose to abandon. If you refuse to choose, the test will be suspended. I've been given permission to kill you right here by my own hands. If you want to include even that as a choice, then there are 4 options. It's been an awful long time since I've gotten to play with a kid like you, so I can't say I'd be disappointed. Are these 3 choices only a test? Or will the consequence of my choice be carried out? Don't be so naive. The one you choose will definitely lose their life. Among the 3 mentioned below, in order to gain 2, sacrifice 1. Your life, Shannon's life, everyone else's lives. If you do not choose one, all the above will be lost. Why is Shannon's name here? Second choice has the name of the one most needed and most loved by the test taker. I believe Cannon's name is written second on Jessica's test. You gave this stupid question to Jessica too? You shouldn't be worrying about Jessica, right? Right now, you're the one being tested. It really is a simple 3-choice test. Which can you throw away for the sake of the other 2? Isn't that simple? If you still can't decide, would you like me to lend you a coin? A coin? How do you choose between 3 options with something that only has 2 sides? No one would throw away their own life. So there remain 2 choices that will leave you standing. Will you give up on everyone for the sake of the one you love? Or will you give up on the one person you love so that you can save as many people as possible? Either way, you should be able to find a fitting just cause. After all, this Rockinjima is now a demon island. The sentimental relationships of the human world aren't necessary here. No one will blame you. Do as your heart desires, and ask yourself whether you're qualified to succeed the Ashuramaia family headship. Or rather, make your decision as if you truly were the Ashuramaia family head, okay? Back to Jessica? Yeah. Fuck you guys, mocking me like this. Jessica crumpled the letter up and threw it on the floor. I believe your anger is quite appropriate. I also find it an exceedingly pitiful and yet truly humorous question. How could anyone wish to die themselves? And how could anyone want to remain alive after abandoning the life of the one they love? And how could anyone massacre everyone else as long as it's good for the two of them? No, Jessica-sama. Such a person could exist. This is Rockenjima, the Demon Island. It's now completely cut off from the human world and fully immersed in the spirit world, like cheese fondue. Values of the human world get taken out with the trash. So please, rank the things you desire from the bottom of your heart. Whatever remains will become a fitting answer for you in this insane evening. Don't fuck with me. How could I choose any of these? If you do not choose one, all the above will be lost. Also makes for a fine fourth option. Even choosing that should give us an amusing show. But since that choice will result in the loss of your own life in the end, I believe it would be more wise to be pure and choose the first one, your life. So that the other two will be saved. Everything has been entrusted to your decision, Jessica-sama. Please, let me hear an answer and conviction fitting for the successor to the Ashuramaia family headship. I, Ronave, am sincerely hoping for a wonderful answer, fitting for the master's descendant who shares his blood. Damn it. Ooh, why'd it go grey? That scene was observed through the magic crystal ball Kinzo held. Oh, I see. Kinzo finally couldn't hold it back, and spreading his arms and facing the heavens, began laughing in an explosive voice. What are you wavering for, foolish grandchildren, my descendants? Isn't this problem so easy that you could answer right away? Isn't this a question that should cause you to waver less than whether to put butter or jam on your morning toast? Do you people know the correct answer? He turned to face the Chiesta sisters, who'd been waiting on him. No, my apologies, I don't know, Lord Goldsmith. Fool, not choosing at all means game over. You foolish rabbit who cannot even choose a reason or goal for your own life. You aren't worth a single ant that anyone might step upon without even noticing. Die, be crushed, disappear faster than I can blink. And what of you? I would sacrifice the first one, your own life, sir. Weapons fight and die in battle. Our weapons exist to destroy enemies and protect allies. Being able to protect those we love and then die is our satisfaction, sir. A truly splendid model answer for a weapon. The immediate reply is very nice. So have you been raised to think you'll be given an extra carrot for answering that way? That's wrong, see? Even that's wrong, see? Answering that way when you are asked is nothing more than giving the answer you have been indoctrinated with. You are the same as that other rabbit a second ago. You still live without having chosen a purpose or goal to strive for. You filth that doesn't deserve to live. It would suit you well to be crushed and used as fodder for the other livestock. Yes, sir. Animal fodder would be an honour. That's wrong, right? You don't want to see anyone else die anymore, right? Why can't you accept that? Accept that the depths of your old wound are still festering and rotting. Yes, the rotten stench would make the nose wrinkle, you foolish rotten rabbit. These are words of praise for you. Thank you very much, sir. Well then, what about you, the last one? Which of the three choices would you choose? Without wavering, I'd choose the second one. Oh, a second? There are not many who could stick their chest out and choose to offer the one they love as a sacrifice. Tell me your reason. Because the one you love will be lost eventually. If you don't love anyone, you won't get hurt. And if you lose someone, you still might be able to love again. So, the person you love right now isn't worth that much at all, yeah? I see. So that's why you reached such an answer. You rabbit who has become cowardly from pain caused by love. I've heard that rabbits can die from loneliness. But just when was it that your heart was killed? Then rabbit, I shall alter the question. Why don't I change the second option to, not the one you love, but the memories of the one you loved? How's that? Can you still select that one? What's this about the one you loved not being worth much at all, foolish rabbit? Filth who cannot even face up to the depths of their own love? Try and choose it. Try and choose to have the one you love forgotten. You can do it, right? I'll bet you can, right? Come on, try saying that you can, okay? Yes, I can choose it. I can choose it. Lord Goldsmith, please stop this. Enough rabbit filth. Go to Virgilia and help keep watch on the dungeon. Disappear. The Jester sisters, with their respective old wounds of the heart gouged out, escaped by disappearing. After that, even though there was no one to hear, Kinzo continued talking by himself as though in a play. Indeed, that's the nature of this charming test. In truth, no choice can be said to be correct. It's about whether they can choose without hesitation, quickly, and with a resolute conviction, and their own strong, unshakable will. It's their reason and their willpower that are most essential. That's what I want to learn. Yes, my descendants, I'm truly looking forward to what kind of answer you will show me. Me? Of course, I once had the same question thrust upon me. Because I splendidly answered that devil's question, I was able to obtain gold and honour, and that witch as my possession. Which answer did I choose? Do you really need me to say it out loud? I would like it. Did he sacrifice Beatrice? Is that way? Well then, have you nearly decided on your answer? As Jessica stared at the letter that had been crushed and lay on the floor, she hung her head in constant silence. All that filled the room was the stir from wind and rain, shaking the treetops. Regardless of how noisy that was, it actually made the stillness more apparent. Ronave waited for Jessica's answer. However, Jessica didn't answer. Whether she was lost in deep thought or had stopped thinking, Ronave couldn't tell. No, he might actually have known. But cruelly, like a demon, Ronave urged Jessica to voice it. If you cannot choose any, I can at least bring you peace without pain, but... Me. Yes? I had trouble hearing. Could you say it again, please? Jessica lifted her face and looked straight into Ronave's eyes. It seemed that she had decided on her answer. Kill me. Jessica said it one more time, clearly. Perhaps Ronave had imagined that this would be her answer from the very beginning. Without any surprise, he smiled lightly and nodded. I thought you would choose that answer, Jessica-sama. Well then, there's no right or wrong answer to this test. The essential part is what thoughts led you to that answer. Come now, please answer with a fitting attitude for the successor. It's not like I chose the first one because I want to die. The second one was letting Kanon-kun die. Of course that was out of the question, so I excluded it. The third one was everyone else's lives. Of course that was also out of the question, so I excluded it. After that, only the first choice remained. Process of elimination, is it? So it was not something you chose proactively. After chuckling slightly, Ronave dropped his gaze. A human couldn't even imagine what answer a demon would have been expecting. All she could understand was that this was apparently slightly below Ronave's expectations. That answer is neither bad nor good. 60%, I believe you could call it. I'm a little disappointed. You're a pretty selfish bastard, telling me to answer with self-confidence, and then being disappointed when I do. Apparently there was more to it than process of elimination. It's a failing grade either way, but there seems to be a little more to your thoughts. Allow me to ask. People don't want to die, so no one would want to choose the first option. People want to live in happiness and struggle as much as life will let them. So normally, the first choice should be impossible from the beginning. However, you took that first choice. You chose to throw away your own life. Only that choice remained for you. I tried thinking of the future that would come after choosing each one. And what did you see? First, I tried letting Kanon-kun die. I tried to imagine the rest of my life after having abandoned the one I love. What kind of life was it? It was a horrible woman who didn't deserve to live. A shabby woman who always lamented her own decision and lived only in regret. I could never forgive a horrible woman who'd choose to live and abandon the person she loved. I put an end to her myself. How brave. So did you also consider the third option? Yeah. I tried letting everyone but me and Kanon-kun die. There's no way Kanon-kun would like me if I did that. So again, even with Kanon-kun, I was forced to bear the cross of abandoning so many people. And even Kanon-kun was forced to bear it. I'm not going to make a foolish choice that leaves Kanon-kun bearing that cross. I wouldn't be able to forgive a future me who did something like that. I put an end to that woman myself too. Jessica had pictured it in her mind. The future, her, beyond each of the three choices. There were three Jessicas. Of the three, two had regrets. Only one could hold her head high and smile at Kanon. You know, I once had the nerve to preach something to Kanon-kun. Something about trying to live life to the fullest. Live your life to the fullest. Meaningful words, and a surprisingly difficult thing to do. So yeah, I've got to stand proud and show Kanan-kun. Show him how to live by holding your head high and looking straight at the sun with a full smile. Will Kanan be able to accept your self-sacrifice? Haven't you thought that your selfish decision might hurt him more than is necessary? That's why I want to leave a message. I will listen, but I'm after all a demon. I may not keep my promises, you see. Keep it. Your promise. Jessica spoke that looking quite unconcerned. She had asked the demon who was about to take her life to pass on a message, and she didn't think at all that she would be betrayed. At that extremely innocent smile, Wanavei closed his eyes lightly and shrugged his shoulders. I see nothing wrong with that. So, what shall I tell him? Tell Kanan-kun to live his life to the fullest. No, that's not quite it. Not Kanan-kun. He still hasn't told me his real name yet. Tell the real Kanan-kun to live his life to the fullest. Tell him that. Milady. Jessica, you really are. Wanavei is fickle, so you might not have passed the message on. You certainly are fortunate to have me here showing you this scene. A musty three-sided mirror was set beyond the bars, and the scene with Jessica was reflected on it. On the next mirror, the scene with George was reflected in the same way. None of them questioned how a three-sided mirror had appeared from a group of butterflies, nor did they wonder why these scenes with Jessica and George were reflected on it, because the reflected scenes themselves were more important. You're so prepared to throw away your life for his sake? My apologies. Kraus looked at Kanan with a complicated expression, mixed in with a bitter smile. Kanan wouldn't meet his eyes. Virgilia-sama, there's no reason for Milady to throw away her life. Please kill me. Please change it to the second choice. That way, everything should resolve itself. Oh, I'm not capable of granting that wish. After all, this is Jessica's own decision, which she herself chose. At that time, suddenly, the air split and the Chester sisters appeared, flying into Virgilia's chest. Virgilia-sama! So mean, so mean! Lord Goldsmith is so mean! I'm doing the best I can. Crushing me for animal fodder, that's just too much. Virgilia, who still didn't have a clue what was going on, was mobbed by the sobbing Chester sisters. There, everything's alright, don't cry. I'll make you some delicious tea. I'm leaving it up to you all to guard this place. If they do anything suspicious, inform me immediately. The goat attendants all faced each other, nodding their heads. Virgilia took the Chester sisters and left. The sound of them going upstairs could be heard, so they had probably gone to an upper floor. This is our chance. Looks like these goat heads are morons. I wonder if we can trick them. Kyrie realised that an opportunity had arrived, but even so, she hadn't thought of a way to break the metal bars. The Jessica reflected on the three-sided mirror had her eyes closed, as though in contemplation. The way she had both hands stuck into her pockets, wanting to be defiant until the very end, might have been her own aesthetic stance. That's all I have to say. Kill me. Understood. Well then, fear not, for I shall make your death more gentle and merciful than any sleep. As Wanavei raised his palm, he slowly approached Jessica. Damn it. Realising that his daughter was about to be killed, Kraus went half mad and repeatedly body slammed the metal bars. The goats looked like they were sneering at how a mere human didn't stand a chance of breaking those bars. Kraus's pointless efforts certainly may have been comical, but Kraus was giving it everything he had. He was now living with all he had as Jessica's father, so that he could save her. Kanan made tight fists with both hands. If he used his cursed power, he might be able to cut through even metal bars. But there were a full 3 goats. There was no way he could defeat 3 of them in an instant. It would instantly be reported, and then even Virgilia and the Chester sisters would probably dash in. Even if he could break the bars, that would be the end of it. He was useless. Kanan already knew that the witch sneered at useless efforts like that, so he could do nothing but stare at Kraus's repeated body slams. George-sama. Shannon, who had been looking at the three-sided mirror, raised her voice. When they looked, they could see George, who had been silent the whole time, lift his face. It seemed that George had also decided on an answer. Oh, it's his turn. Have you decided on your answer? Yeah. I've decided. Is it an unwavering answer? Yeah, it's unwavering. Then let me hear it. Oh, by the way, it seems Jessica decided to take the your life option. Surely such an indecisive person as you isn't going to choose the same answer, right? Jessica gave her own answer. No matter which choice that was, it was Jessica's answer. It doesn't influence my answer in any way. I see. Then let me ask you again. Among the three mentioned below, in order to gain 2, sacrifice 1. Your life, Shannon's life, everyone else's lives. Which one will you choose? Could it be the first one, like Jessica? Wrong. Oh? Gap looked a little surprised, because she had thought this timid-looking man would obviously choose that option. Very well then. I'm glad the most boring option for me has been removed. Then, as crazy as it sounds, could it be the second option? Can you abandon Shannon's life? You must be joking. Why would I do that to the person I was going to give an engagement ring to tonight? How bold. Is that your answer? That's it. My answer is the third option. George took the third option. Everyone else's lives. And surprisingly, Gap hadn't imagined that he'd give an answer like that. She had been sure that he'd choose the same one as Jessica. So she was interested in how he had reached that answer. How he had reached an answer that had surpassed the imagination of the 33rd ranked of the 72 demons. I want you to tell me the circumstances that made it possible for you to sacrifice the lives of everyone else, so that you and the fiancé you love would be safe. Did you use the process of elimination like Jessica? Wrong. I clearly have no choice except this one. So you don't care what happens as long as it's good for you? So you can sacrifice the world for the woman you love? What are you even talking about? Well, George faced the demon as he spoke, almost as though he was disgusted. Tonight, I planned on calling Shannon right here and giving her this ring as proof of our engagement. There probably are quite a few people who wouldn't celebrate an engagement between me and Shannon. I was prepared to make enemies of the entire family by announcing my engagement to her. I've been prepared since the time I came to this island. No, that's not it. Since the time I confessed that I wanted to engage her. So you can sacrifice everything else as long as you can get married? Marriage means continuing to be your wife's ally for your whole life. At that point, I was prepared to have the entire world as my enemy for her sake. Those words to the three-sided mirror also reached Shannon's ears, and that determination reached her eyes. Shannon certainly had promised to be given an engagement ring tonight. Then this incident had occurred, and she hadn't been able to receive the ring. But now, even though it wasn't in the form of a ring, Shannon had received something even greater. And as proof of that, a single tear with the same sparkle as a diamond dripped down. What a courageous answer. I see, if I really think about it, this was an easy decision for you. After all, your parents were already killed on the first twilight, right? By now, there's no one whose death would trouble you. I see, truly an easy choice. Say whatever you want. This determination and choice are mine, and mine as the successor. The sparkle in George's eyes were brilliantly sharp. For just an instant, Gap felt the same sense of threat as Kinzo's and was slightly overwhelmed. I see. Yes, the same decision as Goldsmith. So even with your innocent face, you will also become a terrible demon in the future. What do you know, might get along pretty well. You will succeed Goldsmith. Eventually, I may even be summoned and serve you. That could be surprisingly interesting. Gab had needed to change her opinion of George. This man bore a determination and resolve unimaginable from his outward appearance, not just now, but since the very beginning. I'm prepared to inherit the headship right away. Oh, that's not it. You told me to think as the head in this test, so I answered based on the premise that I am the head. No, even that's not it. I thought as the head himself. I am now the head of the Ashurmaya family. Splendid. To think that you'd be able to go so far. It seems you truly are one to be reckoned with. Battler's and Maria's tests remain, but I've got a good feeling that you'll pass. But only if that's your true, unexaggerated answer, you see. Do you doubt my resolve? Can you carry out the option you chose? Can you, right now, with your own hands, offer all the lives that exist on this island as sacrifices? By your own hand? I can. I've said I was prepared to do so several times. Then return to the guest house right away and kill Battler and Maria. When that's done, I'll bring you the other hostages. Execute each of them except Shannon before her eyes. You can do it, right? I can. My resolve is on a whole different level from yours. And carry it out. Death for them all. Complete this bloodstained ceremony as the new Ashurmaya family head. Understood. I'll carry it out. I'm already the Ashurmaya family head. That's right. Stain that throne red by your own hands. You'll become the king of the spirit world who controls the demons. Gat was convinced. This man truly was fitting to succeed Kinzo's madness. Oh wow. Blow wind, cry thunder. Celebrate the birth of the new demon king. The demon island has now welcomed its new lord. In response to the demon's call, a tempest raged more and more. Then a massive lightning bolt fell, its tearing thunder and brilliant light giving the sensation of a moment of silence. So, about the order of the murders. I get to choose that, right? Please, as you wish, your majesty, the new demon king of Rokkenjima, as your heart desires. Well then, to start, that means the first one's going to be you. Got a problem with that? Huh? A gust of wind blew, stirring up George's jacket as if it was a cloak. It was very much like the cloak worn by the head. It definitely carried that impression of dignity. At that time, Gap truly did see the storm wiped away and the sky covered with a pure white and vast full moon. The man who called himself the new head bore the full moon on his back and sneered at the demon. Even the lives of the entire Ashurmaya family are now part of my fortune. Reparations will be made for the damage that's been done, and it won't come cheap. You didn't seriously think you could take my parents, Aunt Natsui, Uncle Rudolph, Aunt Rosa, and Genji-san's lives and expect me to overlook it, right? Oh, impertinence. Ronave was trying to press his palm against Jessica's chest and stop her heart, but right before he could, his hand stopped. On the carpet at their feet, 1, 2 small red flowers bloomed with a plop, plop. The seed of these flowers was way up high, piercing into the heavens on Jessica's fist. Ronave's nose was stained red with spewing blood, and those drops had been dripping onto the carpet. By the way, that just now was my answer as a maiden. My answer as a successor is different. Allow me to ask. The person I love, my family, my relatives, everyone, I'll protect them. If I'm the head, then that's my duty. Dad wasn't just swaggering around. He protected me and Mom. He fought the pressure of succeeding the Ashurmaya family for decades. That's where I know. Being the successor is nothing trivial. So you know what? I can give it up. Betting my own life is something I can do easily. Jessica knew. She knew that in order to protect her family, her father had bluffed and fought alone continuously. Jessica understood something that his back had been telling her. Another left straight was buried into Ronave's face. That terrifying strike wasn't due just to the brass knuckle she was wearing, or using. It was a strike of a person, a family head, who could throw away everything in order to protect. If Dad's lost his qualifications to be the successor, then I, the next in line, will succeed the headship. Head of the Ashurmaya family, Ashurmaya Jessica. I'm not the kind of coward who'd let you do whatever you like anymore. A wonderful answer. I shall change your score from earlier. +10 for that answer. +10 for that splendid left straight. Which means that +20 more would make for a perfect 100, yeah? She had 60 before, didn't she? As Ronave jumped backwards, somersaulting in midair, he violently wiped away the blood pouring from his nose. It had become not blood, but petals of a red rose. The blood on his face was wiped off, and in its place was a grin filled with a delight he hadn't felt in so many centuries that he couldn't remember. I, Ronave, will test to see whether your resolve is worth full marks, understood? Shut up. Come at me. Come into the abyss. What? Suddenly, beneath George's feet, a pitch-black pitfall opened its mouth wide. Of course, George had no way of resisting. After being swallowed up by that, George fell out of a pitch black hole that had opened up in the ceiling of the arbour. As George fell down, he was hit by a reverse roundhouse kick from a sharp stiletto heel, like a strike from a carefully aimed bee. The instant George, after being blown out of the arbour, thought that he'd be swallowed up by a rose bush, another pitch black hole opened there and swallowed George up. And this time, a pitch black hole opened at Gap's feet before her eyes, spitting a defenceless George out of it. At that time, Gap had already finished the preparatory motions for the next reverse roundhouse kick. What is this? Oh wow, proper animated. Welcome back. Right side of the head, below the right armpit, side of the right knee. As Gap danced and spun like a small cyclone, she kept hitting him left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot with successive roundhouse kicks. The fourth one became a sweep, cutting George's feet out from under him, making him fall down. But of course there was no floor there, but a pitch black hole, and George was swallowed up once again. Gap once again spun around like a small cyclone. George was once again spat out from the ceiling of the arbour. Take this and reflect. The abyss ends with a single strike. Die. Did he die? The sharp strike of the queen bee pierced the heavens like a rising cyclone. It kicked through George's lower chest as he fell from the ceiling. And then time froze. George was pinned in midair by Gap's raised leg. Gah! Still pinned in midair, George moaned. Then Gap, with George still hung up on her foot, grinned. I'll admit it. At least your attitude is that of an adult. But that's no good unless you have power to go with it. Did you know? They say you need 3 kinds of power to rule this world. First one's influence. Second is wealth. What's the last one? I read it in a book. Force, right? Correct. And that's where you're lacking. Gap finally released George. She kicked upwards one more time, changing into another roundhouse kick and knocking him into a pillar. No one will fear a monarch without influence, without wealth, or without force. Kinzo possessed all 3 of those. That's why he reigned as a tyrant. If you're going to call yourself Kinzo's successor, try showing me a bit of that majesty, okay? Come on, how long are you going to sleep there? Stand up, okay? If you don't, you'll fall again, see? No bad movements, but I feel they're slightly unfitting for a lady. Bastard! Swaying around all over the place. Aren't you gonna strike back? Don't take me lightly, you fucking bastard. Ronway dodged skillfully, jumped back and avoided Jessica's fist, but he still didn't strike back himself. Because of his dodge that was as rapid as a fluttering flag blown by strong winds, Jessica's fist wasn't even able to touch him. Amidst the sensation that her own blood was boiling, Jessica regained her offensive composure. Even though this room was large for a bedroom, it was a very cramped place to keep up such exaggerated dodges in for long. She calmly realised that and started using not just her fists, but her legs as well. Boxing with just your arms makes you but half a fighter. Your arms must be like the hot roar of a lion, and your legs must be like the cold snake closing in on its prey. Snakes don't have legs. True. Jessica began cornering Ronway towards the wall with perfect footwork. She didn't let him get around her. Ronway's magnificent dodges looked flashy, but they needed a large footing. Once cornered, he wouldn't be able to dodge anymore. Jessica knew the characteristics of her weapon, the brass knuckle, very well. This powerful weapon's most notable characteristic was how it didn't give the opponent a chance to defend. Even if they blocked with their arm, that arm would receive direct damage. If it hit the wrong way, he might even break the bone. So she cornered him. With his fist, she'd whittle away at the demon who'd lost any way to escape. Whoops. Oh, when did? Looks like I've finally cornered you, right? Where's everyone being held? Where's that damn geezer? You tell me everything, and I'll let you off with nothing more than plucking that moustache off, got it? That'll be a problem. It does take me an hour every morning to set this. Once you're in a cast, you won't even be able to do that, right? Whoops. Ronway had blocked Jessica's fist with his arm. He tried to act as though it was no big deal, but it must have hurt a lot. Jessica grinned. Ronway smiled the same way, but twitched slightly. I see. This certainly does hurt. Here's my last bit of advice. Cry and apologise. That I cannot do. It would ruin my image. They just crumple. Rapid fire. Jessica's fists were buried into Ronave, but there was a resistance that seemed too hard, and the sound of breaking glass which startled Jessica. At a glance, it looked like Ronave had caught Jessica's fist with his palm. That wasn't quite true. When Ronave opened his hand, a faint purple glowing barrier like a glass shield appeared, stopping the attack by a hair's breadth. Pulling herself together, Jessica let her fists fly again, but with a truly magnificent gesture, Ronave caught all of them. I am after all a demon. This level of magic is nothing. Even so, you aren't bad at all. If I were a human, I would probably resign right here. Because I'm a demon, I can still continue to fight. What are you trying to pull? Is this the end? Are you simply going to attack all the time while neglecting your defense? One of his palms shot to within a hair's breadth of Jessica's stomach. Jessica was knocked away by the purple shield, rolled backwards and smashed her head on the bed. My shield cannot be broken by a mere human. Don't think that you'll ever be able to touch my body again. In that case, I'll just burst through that shield. Persistent, I see. Yeah, a truly fighting spirit for the successor. Perhaps I'll be your opponent for just a while longer. This is also part of an examiner's role. Break. Gap looked down on George, sneering. George was on a path in the rose garden, lying face down on a puddle. The merciless rain beat down on him, so it looked as though even the heavens were mocking him. Stand up, okay? You'll fall again, right? George stood up shakily. It seemed his spirit hadn't given in, but the damage done to his body was fairly significant. Beg for your life. What you're doing now is the same as the fourth option of choosing nothing. You chose the third option, right? If you get down on your hands and knees and apologise, I'll forgive your rudeness towards me. Then I'll guide you down to the dungeon. There, for your beloved Shannon and your own powerless life, you'll kill the other hostages one by one. You can do it, right? You did boast about having that resolve. George didn't answer, but his gaze was still obstinately resisting surrender. If you're too obstinate, then this time you really will fall to the deepest depths of the abyss, okay? Gap's strength was evident. That was probably clear, even more than it was to George himself. To Shannon's group watching through the three-sided mirror. George-sama, that's enough. For someone like me. Nissan. If you didn't like me, you wouldn't have to fight with anyone, right, George-sama? Then please abandon me. Please forget me. There was no way that voice could have reached George. But even so, George answered. No way. I won't surrender. Why not? Because that's my resolve. I'll fight everything for Shannon's sake. And I'll make everything accept us. And bless us. Could you tell me something? Why are you willing to go so far for that furniture called Shannon? She's just a washout, isn't she? Rubbish furniture that couldn't even make a satisfactory waitress. I won't permit any more insults against the woman I love. So what are you going to do about it? How could a weak kid like you resist me? Loving someone's strength. Because I learned that, I was able to become strong. Shannon, I love you. With just those words I can stand back up over and over again. Shannon's in the dungeon, right? Professing your love to me won't. No. She heard. That's because it's love. Shannon could hear my words right now. The reason I can believe that is because of love. You. Shannon, you aren't furniture. Even if you're furniture, you're mine alone, the only one for me in the world. I want you to be close to me as long as we live. I need you for all eternity. George-sama. I'm jealous. He surpassed my husband in smooth talking. That's youth for you. The strength of love. Then why are you so weak, boy? Does that weakness mean your love is also that weak? Even your love for your fiancé is weak. The way your parents died so quickly was weak. Everything about your life is weak. Shannon taught me about love and strength. If you're trying to measure my love towards Shannon by my strength alone, let me teach you about my love. So you say. I get it now. You're saying that the way you can still stand up after being kicked down so many times is the strength you received from Shannon. In that case, what did you receive from your parents, who got killed way too easily? At that time there was blackout, even though they were outside. No. This is... The thing blocking Gap's vision was the bottom of George's shoe. Sidekick. Nasal bone fractured. It had stopped right in front of the tip of Gap's nose. The thing I got from Mom was this kick. Several moments after, Gap jumped back. Of course, that was too late. If George hadn't stopped, he would probably have caused the damage he denounced. And what I got from Dad is fortitude. Anger with a low boiling point isn't something to be truly feared. True anger is displayed by fortitude. I recognise your violent method of declaring your intentions. I also see that you've slandered my fiancée, my parents' honour. And you have no intention of taking back what you said, yes? You. I now understand your attacks more than enough. So maybe it's about time. Time to start fighting back. Quit prattling, foolish boy. A pitch black hole opened its mouth at George's feet. But George rapidly opened his legs, straddling the hole. The same move won't work again. It was an extremely smooth dodge, and the upper part of his body didn't even quiver. Fortitude means calmly analysing how your opponent will act instead of losing your cool. Why? Isn't it obvious? Can't you guess? No, I can't. It's to counter, to give back exactly what you got, to make them not want to take another pass at you, to make them cover their face in tears and snot and forget to wash it off, to make them want to rub their forehead on the ground and apologise over and over, to completely, perfectly and thoroughly beat them until they can't get up. George dashed. Pitfalls opened one after another, but George didn't step in them again, and because he was persistent, he was able to reach Gap a second time. Reverse roundhouse, jaw fractured. It was stretched out more forcefully and beautifully than Gap's head beam. Of course, while it centered directly on Gap's face, it stopped a hair's breadth away. Perhaps she couldn't rely on pitfalls at this close range. Gap kicked at George's shins as a diversion, and in an instant of weakness when he tried to deal with that, she aimed a kick at his stomach. It was a bee-like stab by her stiletto heel, but it sliced through the air where George no longer was. High axe kick. Collarbone fractured. Gah. By Gap's side, George calmly announced that his foot still raised. If that monarch's heel had swung down, a collarbone fracture would probably have been the least of her worries. This guy's stronger than me at close range. I need distance. She jumped backwards to open a large gap between them. She jumped and leapt and even flipped in midair, increasing that distance. It should have been magnificent, but for some reason it was very similar to the movements of a small, scared animal. If she opened the distance between them, she'd be able to fight at the range that was her specialty, using a mixture of pitfalls and kicking techniques. You fool, you'll regret the pride that made you let 3 chances of defeating me slide as you fall to the depths of the abyss. When she magnificently landed and tried to aim a pitfall, a razor-sharp wind cut Gap's bangs. Yes, it cut them. It happened twice. This time, it didn't just stop a hair's breadth away, but scattered her bangs with its air pressure. Amada com martello. The fundus of the eye fractured with the first strike. Cerebral contusion with the second strike. Gap was too shocked to speak. George had closed in over all that distance in an instant, letting off a fearsomely nimble mid-air double kick. Furthermore, with the accuracy and edge of a razor, it had cut nothing more than several of her bangs. I learned the power of the kicks from karate, speed from taekwondo, freedom of range from capoeira. I haven't heard of that one. Mom was pretty fickle, but I've learned from studying various merits. Why don't you hit me? You aren't going to say it's because I'm a woman, right? You spoke of force as a monarch's third power. Looks like you still misunderstand the meaning of it. In this situation, force doesn't mean hastily wielded violence. It refers to a deterrent, knowledge that if someone opposes the monarch, that person won't get away unharmed. A deterrent, you say? In short, this is what it meant. This is why all of George's attacks up until then had stopped a hair's breadth away. These bare misses, which were more difficult than hitting directly, had all been performed so splendidly. Also, if George had wished it, any one of those would probably have crushed Gap. He had daringly not done that. You said it yourself, right? Force is the power to control. If you crush your opponent with force, you won't be able to control them, right? A monarch's force is something that's only shown. He does not crush. He makes others surrender and adds them to his own fortune. If you start blowing bubbles, I won't be able to make you guide me to where the hostages are. Gab had to admit it. She had to admit that George understood force in its truest sense. You'll take me to where everyone is. I would advise against resisting. I won't stop short next time. Sorry, Leah. Let me borrow your troops. This guy's too much for me alone to handle. As a large pitch black hole opened in the sky, thunk, 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 3 muscular goat attendants fell out. They surrounded George. Reinforcements? Should I take this to mean that you take back all about me being weak? I admit it. I made light of your human power. That's wrong. This is the strength of a man who's experienced love. How can you say stuff like that with a straight face? Come, goats. Crush this man and turn him into meatballs. These goats are stupid, but it looks like they have at least power. I'll turn you into a corpse that even your fiancé won't be able to recognize. You refuse to surrender and intend to continue fighting. Understood. Know that from now on, you will receive real harm proportional to your own attacks. If you still plan on attacking me, prepare to sustain a great deal of damage. When George proclaimed that, a faint red magic circle rose up around him. It seemed that George couldn't see it. However, Gap being a demon could. Magic? Why does this guy have a defensive barrier? And that's also a counter-attacking type. Is this what you meant by a deterrent? From a demon's perspective, that may have been magic. But in George's eyes, it was determination. It was a determination filled with certainty, which would be merciless to anyone who wished to fight anymore, and which would force them to prepare for a significant counterattack. Determination with certainty becomes magic. Ronave had been accurately blocking Jessica's fists with his shield, but something felt odd. Even though he was certainly catching them on the shield, he felt his arm get jarred and it hurt. It should have prevented all physical damage. However, the damage from her fist was gradually being transmitted to his arm, piling up. Ronave tried to act like he was composed so that this wouldn't be noticed. I'm not going to get worn out. What's wrong, old guy? Starting to get a little tough? No matter how much you attack, it's useless. Why can't you understand that you cannot break my shield? I'm not going to stop hitting you just because it won't break. No matter how hard someone's heart is, if you keep on talking to them little by little, they eventually start to crack. I believe it. I believe that useless effort doesn't exist in this world. That's why I can live to the fullest. If words will eventually make it through, then the same goes for fists. Give up isn't written anywhere in my dictionary. Those words were probably aimed at Cannon. Cannon would seem to reject Jessica's words, but Jessica knew that, no matter how stubborn his heart was, those words would eventually soak through. She believed that they would surely reach his heart, that the day would come when he would stop calling himself furniture and disparaging himself, and that he'd step out into a new life, so Jessica didn't give up. She didn't lose heart. It's stupid, right? I'll bet a guy couldn't understand, right? A girl in love doesn't even think about giving up just because it's useless. At that time, Ronave certainly saw. He saw the reddish glow of light that encircled Jessica's fists. This is not good. An enchantment, is it? This permeating upgrade will be troublesome. Inside her unrelenting fists and determination dwelled the power to succeed no matter what. From a demon's perspective, that was magic. Determination with certainty becomes magic. See? Nothing useless about it. Looks like my fists are making it through. Guard your arm, old guy. It seems I'll have to get a little more serious. It appears it's as you said. In this world, nothing's useless. That's right. If you give up because something's useless, that's when your life ends. You'll get through. You can be sure of that. I'm an idiot, so this is the only way I can live. But even so, I'm sure I'll be able to teach Cannon-kun about a new world someday. So I'm not going to lose heart in a place like this. I'll definitely defeat you and save everyone. Damn. Got to somehow open a hole. Kraus was repeating his useless effort to somehow open a hole between the metal bars. Useless. Nothing's useless. There's nothing. The lookout goats had been swallowed up by those black pitfalls and disappeared. Now was their once-in-a-lifetime chance. This was their only chance to break the bars. Stop it, it's impossible, Crow-san. There's nothing we can do with our bare hands. Let's look for a tool. Don't waste time on impossible. If you give up because it's useless, then it's all over. That's what my daughter said. Even if my body won't fit, as long as a small person like Shannon or Cannon can make it through. Now that we've reached this point, action is more important than racking our brains. Let's work together. I'll do it too. Cannon-kun, you're a boy, aren't you? Lend a hand. Cannon-kun? Kraus-sama, please stand back. What? What are you planning? Okay, Nissan? Just one more time. Let's try struggling. Yes. I too will struggle one more time. No, not just one more time. Over and over again. Jessica's voice had reached Cannon. It certainly had permeated into his cold, rock-like heart. And George's voice had reached Shannon. If the love he had shown was embodied by strength, she would have to respond in the same way. An incredible metal sound rang out. In the first flash, several metal bars were severed horizontally, and in the next flash, they were severed horizontally again, causing many metal bars to clatter to the ground like a bamboo shoots cut by sword. Kraus, Kyrie, and Nanjo didn't even have a clue what had just happened. Dr. Nanjo, which way down the corridor goes the mansion? Of course. In and to the left. In and to the left. Let's go, Kraus-sama. Virgilia-sama will notice us at any moment now. What in the world? You guys? We are. When Cannon hung his head a little and faltered, Shannon slapped his shoulder, smiled, and spoke. We're human. Virgilia-sama. Response from the lookout web. It's a jailbreak. The goat guards aren't there for some reason. What? Why? It's Gap, isn't it? Taking someone else's summonings without asking. Gap. Gap, Gap. Confirming battle regulations. Requesting permission to fire at the escapees. Do it. Kill them. Kill. Gap, Gap, Gap. She's missing the double A. It's meant to be two A's in between them. Understood. 45, 410. Prepare for sniper in pursuit combat. Ammo type, guided cluster rounds. Virgilia-sama, an escape prevention barrier, if you would. Oh, yes, you're right. Oh, I won't let you escape from here. Bit my tongue, saying gap gap. I went so dorky for a sec. The underground passage in front of them was once again blocked by metal bars. The door was of course locked. However, that was no problem for them now. Cannon, it's those metal bars again. We're counting on you. Yes, Kraus-sama. Still, that's incredible. I wonder what kind of principle it works on. I'm not interested in principles. All that matters is that he can sever the metal bars. Now he can escape from here. Don't worry, Cannon. Do it. Leave it to me. Cannon sliced the metal bars again with his red curved blade, but there was a harsh, strange noise and the metal bars only had a slight scratch. What's this? These are sturdy. Wrong. They're enchanted. It's one of Virgilia-sama's magic locks. Can you cut through it? Of course, but it'll take time. We'll wait 3 minutes. After taking a deep breath and concentrating his mind, Cannon extended a red curved sword again. When he pressed it hard against the metal bars, sparks sprayed, almost as though he was melting through it with a burner. Looks like we'll be able to cut it, but it'll be tough. Kraus-sama, you've been targeted by the enemy. Please move back. Huh? Pursue us? There's no one coming. Please get behind me. They're aiming for you. 45 data received. Target lock acquired. Commencing terrain calculation error correction. Formulating firing curve. Supplemental control point calculations complete. That's a mouthful. Data link to 410. 410 data received. Checking hazard zone. No problems. 00 loading 48 sub rounds. Individual homing F and F. Guided cluster rounds. Preparations complete. 45 firing preparations concluded. Loading guided cluster rounds. 410. Firing. A golden arrow that sparkled gold was fired, leaving a gold tail streaming behind. It drew a curve, went through the door, through the keyhole, down the stairs towards the underground path at full speed. Something shone. You can't block the golden arrow with a shield. Cannon-kun, interception stance. Let's link. Gatekeeper understood. It's been a long time since I've fought with you, Nissan. Don't screw up. Yeah, I'll be serious. Then it's no problem. Cannon stopped cutting the bars and stood in front of Shannon. Behind him, Shannon closed her eyes, concentrating her mind deep into the darkness of the underground path. A guided cluster round is a special kind of arrow, made up of 48 sub-rounds bound together. It explodes mid-flight and divides into 48 mini-arrows. The strength of each individual one is low, but they pierce through all shields and possess a perfect wounding and killing power against personnel. And on top of that, each one of the 48 possesses autonomous guidance towards their individual targets. It's shone. It's divided, confirming guided cluster round division. 46, 7, 8, 48 sub-rounds, all rounds locked onto. Interception control, data link to cannon. Cannon, data received. You're incredible, Nissan. You can actually see all 48. Concentrate on intercepting, prioritization. Trust you on Nissan. Of course. I don't even need to open my eyes. Commence interception. Target unharmed. It was intercepted. Yeah? All 48 of them? After all, Shannon and Cannon were originally a furniture pair. They're strong when they're together. Ow. Is this going to become a mouth ulcer or something? Calm down. Reload. Updated ammo type. Precision light speed sniper rounds. Preparing for precision sniping. Sounds good, yeah. Impossible to intercept super high speed rounds. Impossible for a mere gatekeeper to defend against. Precision sniping, roger that. Commencing collection of precision firing use data. What in the world was that just now? Don't worry, I don't have a clue either. All I know is that we would have died if not for these two. Cannon-kun, thanks. Go back to the metal bars. The next shot will probably be one we can't intercept. How can we defend against such an attack? We don't let them shoot. Cannon-kun, initiate spirit particle combat countermeasures. At those words, Cannon closed his eyes tightly and ground his teeth. With Shannon at the centre, a pressure and impact that only non-humans could perceive struck. Firing system error. No good. Rebooting. It's spirit wave jamming. Activate spirit particle safeguards. Hurry. What are you doing? Cover your ears quickly, 45. An unseen, unheard impact has struck the Chester sisters. 00 and 410 crouched down, covering their ears, but 45 didn't make it in time. As she stood bolt upright, her eyes rolled. Cue. 45 got damaged. Her IME's busted. The noise is also horrible for me. 45, 410, and 00 damaged, abandoning sniping posture. It came straight through the link. If we don't reboot, raising their spirit particle sensitivity for precision sniping had backfired. They had taken the full brunt of the spirit particle shockwave Shannon had released. Not only 45 who had been hit directly, but also 00 and 410 who had been linked with her were taken down. You okay? I'll make you some more delicious black tea later, so get a hold of yourselves. My apologies, sir. Rebooting. Please wait several hundred seconds. All the Chester sisters had fallen over. They'd probably get back up eventually, but it looked like it would be hard for them to return to the battle lines for a while. So Furniture was able to repel weapons, if only for a moment. I see. A plot to entertain that child truly will be filled with unexpected turns. Oh wow, look at that face of hers, I love it. Virgilia tore the air with a large gesture, motioning as though opening a door. Come, arise, goat attendants. It's time to work. Catch and kill the escapees. Corpses are fine, we can just revive them anyway. A gold-coloured door opened in the air, and countless giant goats with muscular bodies peeked their faces out. Come now, hurry. There are 5 escapees, so the fastest 5 of you win. There'll be a wonderful prize, so give it your all, give it your all. Virgilia clapped her hands, urging them on. A prize? After facing each other at those words, the goats all rushed to the door at once, trying to get out, making the exit as packed as the Tuzai or the Yamanote rail lines in the morning. Each wanted to get out first, so none of them could get out. Virgilia held her head in frustration. By that time, Cannon had managed to get enough bars to make a crack that could be slipped through. It had been a bit of work for Kraus, large as he was, and Nanjo with his lethal waist. But even so, they all managed to make it through. But after they did, they only had a couple of seconds to be relieved. Immediately, another set of metal bars blocked the way in front of them. This certainly is secure. I'll bet they really didn't want the people in here to escape. Well, yeah? Cannon, sorry, but I'll have to ask you again. May be tough, but please. There was sweat on Cannon's forehead. You could tell at the glance that cutting the metal bars, which had been made even more solid by magic, had physically exhausted him. Yes, leave it to me, Kraushammer. Only you can do it. Please, we're counting on you. Only he could do it. Holding tightly onto those words, Cannon concentrated his mind once again and set himself to the task of cutting metal bars again. Enemies are coming from behind. Multiple targets. This time we can tell. The ground's really shaking. I can tell that some ridiculous monsters are rushing at us. Don't worry. I'll use a magic lock to make a blockade of the metal bars we just came through. Mere goats won't be able to break it. Shannon held her hand out towards the metal bars they had gone through. But she stopped right away. What is it? Virgilia's hammer has started neutralizing the spirit wave jamming. It'll be bad if it's broken. We'll lose the initiative once the Chester sisters are rebooted. I'll make you pay in full for bullying this cute bunnies. If you're trying to gain the advantage with those clever spirit particles of yours, I'll tear all that away and rob you of them. Nissan, concentrate on the spirit wave jamming. The gap in those metal bars is too narrow for those goats. It should hold them back for a while. I don't have a clue what you're saying, but... We know it's something pretty bad. Kyrie picked up a metal bar that Cannon had just cut. Kraus had no weapon, but he rubbed his fists, and the two of them glared into the depths of the underground passage where the shaking was coming from. I believe these are the final metal bars blocking the way. How far is it to the mansion from here? Quite a walk. The path's even, but I seem to remember walking for 30 minutes. So if we run all out, it'll be half that time. They couldn't tell for sure, since they didn't have the three-sided mirror, but there was no guarantee that George and Jessica would still be alright against demon opponents after all this time. If we run at twice the speed of walking, it'll be 15 minutes, and twice that speed would make it 8 minutes. And if we sprint all out at double that speed, it won't even take 5. No problem. Okay. What an unreasonable calculation. But that's how you calculate in a fire. My sincere apologies, everyone. Please watch my back. Leave it to us. Cannon, you cut the bars as fast as you can. Shannon, you concentrate on jamming this witch called Virgilia, or whatever. Kirie-san and I will defend against our pursuers. Then the roars of beasts rang out from the darkness, and several fiery glowing bright red eyes appeared. Goats that were several levels more massive than the guards were rushing with an incredible force. The tremors they created were almost like an earthquake. They brought a frightening intensity and terror, but Kyrie actually laughed with relief. Those massive bodies wouldn't be able to go through the crack in the bars. The group of goats crashed into the metal bars with a fierce sound like that of a train colliding with a dead end. Clumps of dirt fell here and there from the ceiling, and you could tell that the metal bars had bent as if collapsing. Their charging power probably was on par with a train. If the metal bars hadn't been there, they would likely have overwhelmed the 5 of them and crushed them in an instant. When the group of goats pressing up against the metal bars noticed the 5 people right in front of them, they let out a terrible howl, trying to intimidate the 5. Maybe that was out of pain from their game of push and shove. One calm goat among them figured out what should be done about the metal bars, then grabbed 2 of them with its massive arms and began bending them as though opening double doors. Kyrie sharply jabbed a metal pole at that goat's vitals. The goat let out a roar of anguish. It probably hurt a lot, but that was all. It wasn't enough to bring it down. Kraus-san? Wah! Still holding the metal pole she stuck out, Kyrie relinquished the opposite tip to Kraus. Kraus ran there with all his might, jumped up and kicked down with all his weight and kicking power combined. All that destructive power was focused on a single pole, drilling it in. You okay? Please don't rub the affected area. I'll prescribe some medicine later. Take care. As the goat, who'd taken a pile bunker to its vitals, writhed with teary eyes, it nodded its head. Looks like our link isn't that bad either. We won't lose to Shannon Cannon-kun. Naturally, for a living family like us. We can do it if we take them together. Next, that one on the right. Understood. You really are a good wife. That Rudolph must have grumbled a little too much. Tell me about it later. Rudolph-san, suddenly turning pale in heaven won't do you any good, okay? The goats' massive bodies were buried in rose bushes. Even taking into account that a leg's power is 3 times that of an arm's, their strength surpassed common sense. To think that those massive bodies had been kicked in the chin and flown through the air, it was too fierce. Even George seemed a little surprised. To think that my kick works on monsters too. Now this a shock. It's because of your counter-attack style barrier. The attacking power that grazes you is added onto your own. Your kick has been supplemented by those monsters' superhuman strength. I don't really get it, but isn't that just perfect for me? No matter who attacks me, they should be prepared for a counter-attack of equal measure. Non-aggressive defense. That's my policy. That's why Gap couldn't easily touch him. The counter-attack style barrier had no defensive power. However, because of its countering ability, it could be useful in defense by making the opponent hesitate to attack. The goats had been foolish and so had attacked without worrying, but this second effect had worked in full against Gap. These guys really are dull. When your power's even, it's always an advantage to have a smaller build. He lightly dodged the log-like arms. When those arms touched the barrier that protected George, they let off a strong red light. The tip of the counter-attacking foot would then gain the same sparkle, and the superhuman power of the goat added to its own. The second goat fell forward and floated in the air for a second. Then George's next roundhouse kick missed right over the fallen goat's head. For an instant, the goat hoped it might get away with its life. But no! A heel was dropped onto the back of its head, and it was forced to kiss the ground. Going from a high roundhouse kick into a Niri Chagi is pretty basic, right? Works pretty well every now and then. This guy's a problem. Seriously, a problem. What do you mean, demons? What do you mean, witches? The rulers of Okanjima are the Yashiromaya family. I'll make you physically aware of that. You. The only way to finish off George now that his body was wrapped up in a counter-attack style barrier was to deny him a chance to counter-attack. Nothing to do but suck him into the abyss next, then kick and drop him, kick and drop him, kick and drop him. Drop him. Until she kicked him to death. But George had already completely seen through the faint warning signs that told of the appearance of Gap's pitfalls. If he could jump over that next pitfall, then this time he would probably pulverise Gap's head with his whirlwind-like kick without holding back in the slightest, just as had been done to his parents. She was able to envision that scene vividly. Gap hated Kinzo more than ever for calling her out to this ridiculous island. Even though Ronave held out a shield, he had finally started using his hands. Without a more powerful shield, he wouldn't be able to block Jessica's fists anymore. The enchantment on Jessica's fists grew the more she fought. The permeating upgrade had already grown several times, and those fists had also been given an impact upgrade, a piercing upgrade, and a speed upgrade, making them fists worthy to fight on par with a demon. What's wrong? Starting to get tired? You're getting all slow? No. Your movements and thoughts and kinetic vision have been rapidly enchanted. My movements have not changed from the beginning. Your movements have begun to catch up to me. And you still won't fight back? This is my style. However, I cannot allow it to continue at this rate. It's about time for me to get serious and end this. Ronave's face turned into an expression he hadn't shown before. It was full of respect for Jessica in a truly demonic way. Because it was an expression he only showed for enemies who made him get serious. Whoa? What the? With a gesture of his whole body that you couldn't call elegant, Ronave held out a shield with all his strength, a shield the size and thickness of a wall. It was more tenacious than a simple shield. It literally was a wall. And on top of that, with all of Ronave's magical power, it pushed Jessica back bit by bit. Did he plan on pushing her back against the wall and crushing her to death? Jessica tried to break through the wall with both fists, but it was solid. Without any exaggeration, it was solid. Is this what he calls serious? No problem, I'll break right through it. I will not let you this time. This wall is somewhat different. Here, allow me to enchant it as well. When Ronave made a magic sign almost like a ninja, the wall glowed red for just an instant, and some kind of ominous power dwelt within it. Jessica was able to recognize that almost immediately with her body. Every time her fists hit the wall, pain as though glass fragments are scattered and hit all over her body, rebounded against her. I upgraded it with attack reactive armor, an exceptional item that will decrease the force of your attacks by counterbalancing them, and which can even counterattack with reactive fragments. It's perfectly fine to keep punching it, but doing so will damage you as well. In short, it's an endurance test between me and your wall. No problem. Will you fall to your knees first or be pushed into the wall first? Allow me to observe. Except I might break through it and smash that whole wall along with your face, right? Watch it. Without hesitation, Jessica punched using both fists. Each time she did, a large amount of shards scattered, torturing her entire body. Instantly, several red gashes appeared all over her. She grimaced at the intense agony, but her eyes were burning with fighting spirit, and her lips curved in a grin that stood in sharp contrast to the pain. Cannon, you done yet? We're fine. But the metal bars blocking them don't seem to be. Just a little more. There's no stopping these guys. These metal bars might break just from them shoving each other. The group of goats made the metal bars creak. Several arms grabbed the bars, twisting them with superhuman strength. However, some bars were being pulled in opposite directions by different hands. Apparently, they really were stupid. The way those countless hands grabbed the metal bars sometimes happened to match up by chance. Several hands grasping two metal bars neatly put their power together and pulled the bars to the left and right. The incredible sound of metal bending could be heard, and that crack was getting larger bit by bit. They attacked the arms of those goats one by one, but they weren't getting anywhere. They couldn't stop the gap from spreading left and right. At that time, there was a loud metal sound behind them. Cannon had finally finished cutting. Quickly! Curious Ant, ladies first. You go next, Dr. Nandro. Krausama, please leave this place to me. This is... Cannon's red sword that had cut the metal bars disappeared. Sorry. We've entered Virgilia Sama's spirit particle area of influence. Our magic power has been neutralized. Oh, how dare you resist me this far? I who was called a great witch. You can no longer use your magic in that underground passage. A magic circle column drew a complex magical formula with Virgilia at the centre. With such genuine magic being used, Shannon's power couldn't even compete. On the contrary, it was surprising that she had withstood as long as she had. Spirit particle supremacy ensured. Come, Jester sisters, it's your turn now, right? Wait, you still rebooting? Why are kids these days so bad at waking up? Well, it's hard work. My apologies. We're all different versions. Why do the shortcuts and pull-down menus get all screwed up every time you change versions, yeah? You did not shut down correctly last time? Administrator privileges? What's going on? I don't know. Okay. Fix me quickly. Wah. Call the Imperial Guard's troubleshooting team. What? You can't help us without a user code? 45 had the user code. It just sounds like 9999 in Japanese to me. Have we write it on some paper? God, I like this whole part that's just been full on video gamey, haven't it? She can't reinstall her IME, so she can't write characters. You take your time fixing yourselves. I'm going. Sorry. The narrow underground passage was packed with goats, truly like a commuter train in the morning. Virgilia was again shocked by this congestion. What are you doing? Huh? You want to go first because you want the prize? You're getting in each other's way because you don't want the other goats to steal the prize from you? You stupid goats. I'm going, so make way. What? You don't want to? Virgilia Sama is trying to steal your prize? Why are you all standing arm in arm? Tight, cramped. When did this become a goats only car? You, that kid who just touched my butt. Get off at the next station. What's with you? Come this way, you say? The five in Krause's group dashed through the passageway with all their strength. They couldn't dawdle around in an underground place like this. They had to quickly join up with the children on the surface. If they could meet up, there would no longer be any more sorrow. At that time, a terrible rumble started chasing them. Had their pursuers finally made it through the metal bars? But they couldn't see anyone when they turned around. However, that rumble and the dirt that fell here and there from the ceiling grew closer and closer, finally catching up with them and even going past them. It felt almost like being chased by ghosts. For a second, they thought they'd gotten away until the ceiling in front of them fell in and a single goat stood in their path. Virgilio was sitting on its shoulder. This wise child knew a shortcut. What a good kid. You get first prize. Later, you can have some handmade mackerel curry. Ugh. Maybe it really was happy about that dubious prize. The massive goat showed its joy by putting its hands together and writhing. Virgilio leapt down, laughing at this time. It was finally checkmate. Damn, it's no use. Our magic has been completely killed. Not yet. Even without magic, we still have these bodies. Don't be ridiculous. There's no way you could fight a monster like that without that strange power. Stay back, children. I'll do something about this, so escape past the sides of that monster while I distract them. I won't let you. When Virgilia clapped her hands, a purple magic circle ball appeared behind her, stealing even the faint hope that Kraus had been betting on. Is there nothing more to be done? No, not yet. Even Jessica thought I must do so as well. Are you serious? It's not possible, not against that massive monster. Don't be absurd. Krausan, let's think of another way. If you think of something, say it. Until then, looks like I'll have to manage something. Come on, get back. Take care. Oh. My, Kraus. You intend to fight this child alone? You never know. In a fight, it's always possible to get in a lucky shot. You think you can win, even with a fluke? Allow me to explain so that even one who's so blissfully unaware of this place can understand. Huh? If you were to wield 100% of your strength, your power level is at most 6. In comparison, this child's a power level of 1000. In short, even if there were 100 of you, you definitely couldn't win. It's true that there are uncertain elements in a fight. Let's admit that your power level has a slight scaling factor to it. But even so, your chances of defeating this child are at perhaps 0.0001%. Do you understand? You don't even have a 1 in 10 chance of victory. Why are there numbers down the bottom right? Virgilio and the goat guffawed together. Damn it. Even if I've got a 1 in 10,000 chance, that means the payoff will be 10,000 times greater, right? A splendid dark horse. Seeing a ticket like that makes me want to buy it right away. But the coin to buy it is your life, and you've only one of those, yes? However, I can understand why you'd still want to entrust that miracle to fate. Therefore I shall praise your courage for standing against us without fear, and give you a bit of a handicap. This child would fight with only his left arm. Well, even so, I have absolutely no intention of losing to you. Come to think of it, what's that bing bong noise I keep hearing? Very well, I'll take that challenge. Whether it uses its left arm or not, I'm sure I'd be killed with a single strike. I also only have a single chance at a strike. I can only bet everything on that. That's absurd, Kraus-san. I know you used to do boxing, but wasn't that as far back as your college days? No, even if you were a pro boxer, there's no way you could defeat a monster like that with one strike. That would be true if it were a match in the ring. But while Kraus-Nissan's chance to bet on this hope is faint, it does exist. He's betting everything on that hope. You aren't saying, there's no way that will work out. Klaus-sama, watch me. I'll settle this with a single strike. How shallow. I know what you're after. The distance between the two of them is more than 10 meters. If the goat and Kraus both step in with all their strength to settle a fight with a single blow, their power will be double what's normal. Both will clash together, so it's a relative 4 times normal. Even so, on top of that, the strike lands on a weak point for a critical hit, that will only double the power again. In short, Kraus's maximal power level of 6 times 8 would be 48 at the most. He might or might not be able to win if he repeated that lucky shot a full 20 times. If you're killed every time you take a hit and your damage still accumulates. Let's see, perhaps you might finally win when we get to episode 24, yes? If only this series could stretch on so long. Either way, you don't even have a slight chance of victory. Seriously, what's that bing bong sound? Let me bet everything on a single strike. You have no reason to hold back either, Goat-kun. Come at me seriously. He's requesting that you go all out. Smash him with a single serious strike and turn him into chunks of meat. As the goat got excited and beat its chest over and over, it took a position as though preparing for a sprint. Is this what you wanted? Bet your hopes on the greatest limits of your power level and despair when even that gets you nowhere. It rang again. What the heck? It's really starting to get on my nerves. Here I go. Ready? The goat howled in response. Then with a match timing that only the men confronting each other could comprehend, The two leapt forward like bullets shot out of a gun. The men howled, collecting the strength from all over their bodies into one arm each. The goat's fiery glowing eyes clearly locked onto Krause's face. He could perfectly see a vision of when he would step forward, when he would punch through Krause and blow him away, and when he would win perfectly. The long painful days up to that point drifted through the goat's mind. She's gonna eat me. Those painful days of training when his senpais had picked on him. Those faint glimpses of the warm concern his senpais felt for him. And the joy of that day's power had been acknowledged when he had been accepted as one of the comrades. I never showed proper respect to my parents. That's right, didn't I plan to wash my hands of this business when this job was over and return to my hometown? I'm sorry, little goat sister. The only Chan always caused you so much trouble. Oh my god, this is just ridiculous. I mean, there's been ridiculous points in the story so far, but Jesus Christ. And I actually have a childhood friend. I'm going to marry her when I go home. Gah. No. Stop tripping all those loser flags. You can't handle that punch. Dodge it. It happened the instant before the two crashed and their punches crossed. You fool, Virgilia. Looks like you failed to make a calm and rational decision. You mustn't take that punch. Knock it aside. The very instant the goat's left straight and Krause's right straight crossed. The goat obeyed Virgilia's order with super fast reflexes and pulled it straight back, repelling Krause's punch. That's right, Virgilia's decision probably had been wise. After all, the number of loser flags amplified the power level of one's opponent. That was close. If he had taken that punch after tripping so many loser flags, imagine just how great a force it would have been amplified to. Go on, from there, smash the completely open right side of his face with a right straight. What? That promise about fighting with only your left arm? Oh, arm promises made to be broken. Tripped another one. Oh, that's a counter loser flags. I get it. I didn't realise till now. I'm disappointed, Virgilia. You really have lost your composure. What's that? How was I not composed by noticing it beforehand and making him avoid it? Why is that, Kirie-sama? If they had crashed like that, wouldn't it have been Krause's... Ah, I see. Even with 20 loser flags, that's not enough. Krause's and the goat's double rush makes for time 4. With Miracle as an ally, the firm promise of a critical hit doubled it again for times 8. On top of that, there was an amplification of times 20 equal to the number of loser flags, making it times 160. At a glance, that was an incredible amplification, but even so, Krause's power level was 6. Even multiplied by 160, it only made for a power level of 960, just barely below the goat's 1000. That's why I said you weren't composed. It's your blunder. If they had crashed like that, you would have won. Oh, even if that was so, it all comes to the same thing if this right straight smashes Krause's head. Die, Ashuramaia Krause. Take this, the strongest strike of the boxing world. After repelling Krause's right straight, the goat's right straight attacked the right side of Krause's face, which had been left open. But there it crossed Krause's left straight. The two punches crossed and time stopped as each aimed for the face of the other. Oh, to think that it would be timed for a simultaneous strike. But his power level stops at 160, making it 960. It doesn't reach up to my child's 1000. No, Virgilia-san, it's your loss. Why? You made him repel the first cross counter. Certainly if another right straight after that were to hit, Krause-san would probably be in pieces. However, that was crossed. That's no good. Sorry, but this is a complete loss for you, and this goat. A cross counter has 4 times the destructive power of a normal punch. This is common knowledge in the boxing world. And if it's blocked and the right straight hits, then it's a double cross counter with 8 times the destructive power. This is also common knowledge in the boxing world. If that's crossed, then by the principle of leverage, the triple cross would multiply the destructive power by 12. It's also painfully common knowledge in the boxing world. It's even written in a Minmaya Shobu book. Go with that. Krause-san's power level is 6. Rushing from both sides times 4. Critical hit times 8. Times 160 for tripping too many loser flags. Times 12 again for the triple cross counter. Times 1920. His power level is 11,520. Krause's punch now had the power to easily win the first Tenkaichi Budokai. This result was brought about by Krause-san's persistence in not giving up on victory until the end, and your pride. Without either, this strength would not exist. You fought well. You may now fall. Nadra clapped the goat on the shoulder. Yoni-chan gave it his all. As the sparkling drops from the goat's eyes scattered, he bent backwards and fell on Virgilia. Ugh, heavy, get off of me! The goat's massive body was too heavy for the slender Virgilia. She wriggled around with it on top of her, but it didn't look like she'd be able to escape. In that instant, the barrier Virgilia had sealed broke. Don't take it personally. It was the principle of leverage that led to your defeat. I wonder how the principle of leverage applied to that counter. It's an eternal mystery. Let's escape while we can. You take care too, Goat-san. Well then, excuse us, Virgilia-sama. Bow. Wait! Wait up! Get this off me! Cap. After that, there was nothing to block their way. They ran intently through the underground passage. They finally escaped. Jessica had finally been cornered, with the wall at her back. Ronove advanced with his magic circle ball, bit by bit, would probably crush her against the other wall eventually. Considering the distance, she threw out her fists. This would be her final strike. Jessica had dealt out many punches so far. The wall wasn't invincible. It had already started to crack, and it wouldn't be strange for it to smash at any moment. However, due to the rebounding damage, Jessica also had cuts all over her body, and was all worn out. Please put a stop to this. I don't intend to crush you. It's up to the master to decide how to deal with you. However, I also intend to congratulate you specially for your good fight. Quit fucking around. Not yet. It isn't over yet. You have wounds all over your body. It's all you can manage just to stand, is it not? It seems you plan on putting all your strength into this final strike. However, that final strike will be fatal for you. The damage reflected by Ronove's magic circle wall was proportional to the strength of the attack. Jessica's all-out punch would be bounced back onto her. The more all-out she went, the more suicidal it would be for Jessica. I get it. I know that. I'm warning you. Stop this now. This is for your own good. Stop bluffing. Your wall's already about to break, right? I can tell by the feel of it after punching it so much, okay? That was a fact. Ronove's wall was already on the verge of breaking. On top of that, Jessica's fists had been imbued with an unimaginable magical power attack by now, and their destructive strength defied the imagination. In the worst case, that destructive power might even pierce the defensive wall, smash Ronove as well, and create an expansion connection this room to the next. However, that damage would rebound on Jessica as well. She wouldn't escape unharmed. I'll say it just one more time. Stop. I say this out of consideration for you. Shut the fuck up. Prepare yourself. Jessica howled. Putting all the strength of her greatest and final destructive power into her fist, she roared. The three goats had been beaten down long ago. Without straining to breathe in the slightest, George cautiously closed the distance between him and Gap. He was after her. He was planning on bringing her down with a single strike. Gap was also aiming for a single strike. If she let that chance slide, she would be killed this time. Aren't you going to use your pitfalls? Ugh. Even a tiny opening during the time it took to open the hole would prove fatal with George as an opponent right now. Gap cautiously calculated the distance and timing, but even as she did, George closed the gap between them. If you won't come, I will. Go ahead. There's no point in cheap tricks anymore. I'll settle it, with this kick of mine. For an instant she thought George's body blurred, and then only his jacket was floating in the air. The moment she thought, darkness covered Gap. George, with his heel swung up high, was attacking from the sky like a massive dragon. It worked! This is my victory, Ashuramaia George. What? Gap opened a vast pitfall with her in the centre, swallowing up George along with herself. The two were swallowed up by the pitfall and spat out from the ceiling of the arbour. But that was what Gap had been after, so she alone landed lightly. However, there was another pitfall on George's landing spot. Hehe. Gotcha, Ashuramaia George. It was fun, so did I. The Ashuramaia family headship would be wasted on the likes of you. So I'll finish you right here, right now. George once again fell from the ceiling of the arbour. He had probably been dropped the same distance as falling off the roof of a 2-story building. In the sky, he couldn't control his posture in any way, It was impossible to resist or defend or avoid. As Gap spun like a whirlwind, she concentrated all of her energy on the sharp tip of her stiletto heel. This was the final strike to perform his requiem. The final strike of the Queen Bee that would bore into heaven, knocking him down into the true abyss. Welcome to the abyss. This is the end of the line for you. She closed in on her prey and stuck her foot up into the sky. At that time she saw George's face. Even though he was in mid-air, he was calmly adjusting his glasses with the middle finger of his right hand. And his posture was still preserved as that of an axe kick. Without the faintest deviation, he aimed for Gap's forehead. I had already hypothesized that this move would come up. What? If I jumped to make the person on the ground taste my heel, my posture would have collapsed long ago. However, my posture hasn't collapsed in the slightest. Do you know why? You don't mean... From the very beginning, I aimed to make a person 2 stories below taste my heel. Oh... It's your loss, miss. Whoa, take this. The final strongest punch that Jessica had raised reached the wall and was sucked in. It was sucked into a black large hole that had suddenly opened on the wall. Well, I did tell you to stop. This is... Actually, I wasn't even close to being in a pinch. Sorry. Jessica's fist had gone for George's stomach, and George's axe kick had lined up on Jessica's head. The shocking destructive power imbued in Jessica's fist crushed George's organs and scattered his abdomen. The same destructive power in George's axe kick smashed half of Jessica's head and scattered its contents in the same manner. Didn't I tell you about a witch's acting prowess? Hey, Beto, what do you think? Were you watching? Not bad, just as planned. You really do get it, Gap. Woohoo! Beto and Gap casually high-fived each other. Thanks, Renovate. Thanks for the gift. I'll return Jessica's corpse. Separate the corpses of the 2 who are close. Does this mean the second Twilight's over? Gap dropped Jessica's corpse through a pitfall, and all the chunks were thrown into Jessica's room, as carelessly as throwing something into the trash. Jessica's corpse and lumps of flesh fell from the ceiling and poured out all over her room. Renovate shook his head slightly at this gruesome change of scenery. My apologies, Jessica-sama. I did warn you. However, the true art of us demons, that is, foreseeing this conclusion and giving you advice, and I knew you wouldn't listen to, really isn't something a human could understand. It really was fun, kid, but you play with words a bit too much. Is maybe it's about time I started fighting back really the best you got? Are you trying to be someone from a light novel or something? In the arbour brutally decorated by George's and Jessica's scattered blood and guts, Gap enjoyed a loud laugh for a while, but she quickly realised that, in all seriousness, this was a little too filthy and undignified, and she snapped her fingers. As she did, a cloud of gold butterflies rose up around her, stuck to each of the bits of blood and stains, and dropped them. Then George's corpse returned bit by bit, and the brutal corpse with its guts torn out was repaired into a clean corpse that looked like he was sleeping. Was this some act of sportsmanship towards a dead rival? The heavens were split, because Gap had lifted her leg high, pointing at the sky. See you, lover boy. This is game over for real. Splat. Without a trace of mercy, that foot stepped down and was buried into George's forehead. The stiletto heel that was sharp as a weapon pierced George's forehead. With a bloop, it was pulled out. It was like a mark proving that Gap certainly had finished him by her own hand. Renovate also returned Jessica's corpse to its original form, and then, like how it had been with George, he restored Jessica's life. What? Oh. What in the world is this? A dream? No, that's wrong. You certainly did pass away, Jessica-sama. You should be well aware of the memory of your final moments. Jessica's mind was burning. For some reason, she remembered being thrown somewhere and having George's heel smash her head. Am I alive? No, you're dead. With my magic, that will only be postponed for a scant 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, the magic will end, and you will return to being a tragic corpse with half of its head crushed. What do you say? Death is brutal. In most cases, you aren't even given the time to ready your heart. But to praise you for fighting so bravely, I've decided to give you this time. Perhaps you should sort out your regrets from this world in those 3 minutes. I can also decide to take you along with me during those 3 minutes. But the power that had burned through Jessica's body until a second ago had been completely lost. Jessica is aware of that herself. She was already dead. And that's all for me. If you would excuse me. It was fun, Jessica-sama. Ronave turned his form into a cloud of gold butterflies and disappeared. All that remained was the sound of the wind and rain, and the figure of Jessica as she crouched down, leaning against the wall. Jessica could tell. She probably really would revert to the corpse she had been after 3 minutes. Was there anything she could do in those 3 minutes? She stood up, and with a shaky gait, took the phone that was on the desk. Hello? Is that Jessica? Jessica? What is it? You okay? They got me. You okay? Did you get injured? I'll come to save you right now. No, it's already too late. I'm already dead, or so I hear. By the time you got here, Battler, I'd be a corpse with half its head split open. Crap, that damn geezer. Wait there, I'm coming right now. Listen to me, Battler. Listen closely, okay? Now I totally see why Goda-san and Kumasawa-san were evasive about the time the 6 in the dining hall got killed. Those guys aren't human. What? What are you talking about? I saw it, so what am I supposed to do? Those guys warp and set up barriers and do whatever they want, okay? It's like some kind of manga, an anime, hell, and we seriously can't help. I can't keep up. From the very beginning, fighting was useless. They really aren't opponents that you'll be able to fight with that hat-stand spear you're so proud of. A line of blood dripped down from Jessica's forehead. George Nissan's done for too. That was an instant death. The next test is yours, Battler. I wonder if your test will go the same way as ours. Be careful and don't misunderstand. You mean about the test? No. Don't misunderstand and assume that your enemy's human. The enemy isn't human. They're demons that can freely wield a terrifying magic. No matter what, don't get the wrong idea about that. Be careful. A line of blood dripped down from Jessica's mouth as well. The left half of her head started hurting. Jessica realised that she was about to return to the corpse she had been. When 13 people die, the Golden Witch will revive. 6 were killed, including Mum. That's the first twilight. Then George, Nissan and I were killed for the second twilight. So once 5 more people are killed, the ceremony will be complete and the witch will revive. I hope Dad and the rest are safe. If they aren't, the one to test you might be the resurrected Beatrice herself. Battler already didn't understand what Jessica was saying, but from her tone, he realised that she knew she was about to die. So even though he didn't understand the situation, he urged her to give it her all. I said I'm already dead. See ya. Looks like it's time. Good luck on your test. I hope you can become the head. Second twilight done. Jessica? Jessica? Hey, answer me. Jessica? Battler's sorrowful voice could be heard from the dangling receiver. As she leaned against the wall in that corner, crouched down, Jessica's head had been half smashed. This place is? Is this a well? Where is this? Curious stuck her face out of the well, and then Kraus showed himself too. When he realised that they could see the back of the mansion from beyond a grove of trees, Kraus knew more or less where they were. To think that here, in a certain well, there had been a hidden underground passage, which led to a hidden mansion. This really is tough on this old body. I usually came up from a different spot, with real stairs. If you could just unlock it. I will ask you to tell me about the layout of this place in detail later, Dr. Nandro. Shannon, you okay? Grab hold. I'm fine. Kanekun, quickly. Kanen climbed up a ladder out of the shaft that was disguised as a well. It was probably quite deep. When he looked down for the first time, he realised how far he'd come up. Firing. Oh shit. As Cannon was about to finally crawl out of the well, a hole the size of a basketball opened up in his chest. Everyone there looked through the hole in Cannon's chest to the scenery beyond. They were doing so well. Cannon-kun, Isa. Cannon slumped backwards and was swallowed up into the depths of the well. Everyone run! The Chester sisters! They've locked on, we can't avoid them! Run! Let at least one of us remain alive. At that time, Kraus and Kyrie and Anjo certainly saw a golden curved line appear from the well, and saw itself through the side of Shannon's head. Shannon! Her head had been pierced. The three had witnessed it perfectly until it had shot out the opposite side, blown it away. Shannon fell to her knees, blood gushing from both sides of her head, and flopped to the ground. Wah! They're after us. Run. We'll be killed. Run, 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 run. As Nanjo doubled over in shock, stunned by how Shannon had died, the Chester sisters did not allow them to escape. A curved line again appeared from the well, and pierced from Nanjo's forehead to the back of his head in an instant, sewing through him. Thump. And so Nanjo passed away. All the servants, were they? What the? Why? Where's the enemy coming from? We're being sniped. I don't know where from, but they've honed in on us perfectly. Let's escape into the mansion, block their field of vision. The two dashed towards the back door of the mansion. Then right as Kraus was about to shut the door behind him, a golden curved line appeared for the fourth time, piercing Kraus from the back of his head to his forehead and smashing that forehead. Oh. Eek. You don't see her uncomposed like this very often, do you, Kyrie? Kraus's body leaned over, fell down, and drew a neat radial pattern with the insides of his head. Kyrie ran wildly through the hallway, flew into some room and locked the door. But even so, she wasn't even remotely convinced that this had saved her life. She would probably die soon. This was apparently one of the guest rooms. At that moment, Kyrie's eyes fell on a phone on a side table. After hanging up the call from Jessica, Batter had been about to dash out. In that instant, the phone rang again. Hello. Huh? Kyrie-san? Yes, Battler-kun. I got lucky. I managed to escape the dungeon somehow. I really did have luck on my side. Where are you? Is everyone okay? Over here it looks like Jessica and George and Nikki are... Listen, I probably won't be alive for long. That time, right after she thought the keyhole of the locked door might have glowed gold. A gold curved line drawn a helix. No, a golden sewing thread penetrated in from there at an incredible speed and bored a hole into the floor by Kyrie's feet. Oh, that's unusual. The enemy who sniped the other four, one after another with extraordinary skill, apparently really does have trouble shooting me between the eyes with a single shot while I'm holed up in this room. But the next strike will probably hit. At this point, Kyrie finally remembered the first massive killing in the dining hall. That's right. This is what killed Rudolph and the rest, all 6 of them. Listen, Battler-kun, I'm going to tell you everything exactly as I saw it. I'm sure you'll think there's something wrong with my head. Yes, it's okay for you to think that. Even I still haven't sorted out what it was I saw. Today, after you all returned to the guest house, the family conference began in the dining hall, and I'll tell you everything that happened next. Listen until the end without butting in. The call might be suddenly cut off partway through. If it does, at that time, I'll be dead. Kyrie-san. Then Kyrie spoke about Kinzo appearing and the family conference starting, about the 6 being killed and the 5 of them being confined, about how she had escaped somehow and ran away to where she was now, and how everyone had finally been killed. It was all spoken dispassionately, with no dramatization, just as she'd seen it. She'd even spoke about how everyone except her had been killed, and how she had observed the moments of all their deaths, and how even now someone was trying to kill her. Actually, even while we've been talking, I've been attacked 3 times. Something like a strange gold thread keeps flying in through the keyhole, spinning round and aiming for me. First it was by my feet, next it was close to my shoulders. Just now it grazed my ear. Its aim is getting more and more accurate. Looks like it'll go right between my eyes pretty soon. Run, Kyrie-san. Run away. Where to? I've run this far, shut myself into a room and even locked the door, right? Now that I'm still being pursued, just where should I hide? Hey. Kyrie-san? Hey, Battler-kun. Are Jessica-chan and George-kun still alive? not long ago, I got a phone call from Jessica. It kinda sounded like they were done for. Thought so. Yeah, when we were being killed one after another, I had a kind of premonition. I thought that perhaps the second twilight had been finished in a ceremony of killing 13 people before our twilight had been reached. In short, when I die, that's 13 people. This way the ceremony is complete. The Golden Witch Beatrice will resurrect. I wonder what in the world will happen. On this island filled with demons and witches and swarming with goat monsters, I wonder just what will happen when even the leader of them all, the Golden Witch, appears. But I know, I don't have a clue what's going on anymore. Kirie-san's voice had completely given up on her own life. Because Battler understood that, he couldn't stop the tears. There's just one thing I can advise you on. What? If a demon or a witch does appear in front of you, yeah, there's no need whatsoever to doubt whether it's real or not. Understand that this is what it seems to be. You might think there must be some trick or that there's some true nature hidden behind it. If you have the time to think of something like that, it'd be much more constructive to plan out how not to damage the mood of whatever you're facing. Even mistakenly, you must not say, in that case, try showing me magic. Because to prove that, they probably use an even crueler way than before, to show you. I can't believe it. Even if I hear something like that coming from your mouth, I can't believe it. I understand. I understand why you can't believe. So that's why I can give this advice. Believe. You tell me to believe in Beatrice and demons and witches and monsters? Even after being shown things not of this world so clearly, I think we still weren't able to believe any of it. I'm still like that now. The true form of this thing that keeps attacking me, trying to shoot through my forehead, is something I don't understand, and I can't believe it. So I want you alone to believe, to understand, to accept the existence of what we couldn't accept. If you do that for me, our deaths won't be wasted. It'll all have been worth it for me to make the phone call. Kirie-san? I'm still okay. It scratched me, but it missed again. Looks like I probably won't get another chance. Thank you, and goodbye, Battler-kun. I treated you coldly sometimes because you were a Sumo-san's son. Forgive me for those days. What do you mean forgive you? Right now, you're a mother to me, Kirie-san. I felt as though I'd heard an incredible sound at the other end of the receiver. Then a noisy clacking sound, as though the receiver had fallen to the floor. Kirie-san? Kirie-san! Kirie-san did not answer through the phone again. Oh, that's a good ending point. That was a bloody epic part, and it was bloody huge as well. Oh, it went really gamey, didn't it? Like really gamey. Like the amount of like counter-attack figures and things like all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Oh, it's nearly witching hour. Nearly the witching hour, and it's got all the kills for the sacrifice now as well, isn't it? So what the hell is going to happen next? This has been Greeny XI. I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in a bit when we check up on Maria and Battler by the seems of it. Thanks again for watching, folks. See you again in a bit.